I really do like what I'm seeing with this one. I'll get into the reasons why in just a second here, but if you haven't heard about this game yet, this is a deck building narrative campaign game that is heavily influenced by games like Pokemon. Players are going to be acting as tamers in this mythical world where people and creatures work together, with each of these creatures having different abilities and strengths and weaknesses, and of course a tendency to a specific element. Players will be discovering these different creatures through the narrative that the game offers, as well as through random encounters, with each of these creatures having their own stats for strength, defense, attack, and speed, and each of these creatures having their own starter deck of cards that players will be able to modify and persist throughout the game as they develop and train that specific creature. And this is one of the elements of the game that I really like, because this is a deck builder that doesn't concern you with just one deck. Since you're going to have a deck for each of the creatures that you bring into your team, you're going to be developing and getting attached to those creatures, and you're going to be gaining cards that will be assignable to specific creatures, or assignable to specific element types, or assignable to any creature at all. And it's going to be up to you to decide how you want to distribute those and which of your creatures that you invest in the most. Not only this, but it means that some of your creatures are going to have more utility than others depending on the situation that you're in. So even though you might have one creature that is leveled up and stronger than any other creature in your arsenal, because of its elemental type and the various cards you've assigned to all the different creatures, that creature may not be the best choice for a particular situation. And this is a huge win for me, because I really do like deck building games, but I do find them to be a little bit samey over time. But being able to manage a bunch of different decks at once and swapping them in and out depending on the situation that I'm in just sounds like a ton of fun, and sounds like it's really going to keep things fresh. And I'm going to have to make really good decisions when deciding which cards I want to invest in which character. And of course, when there are creatures to be caught, you do gotta catch them all, and this does come with the nice perk of being able to fill out a whole encyclopedia. Whenever you discover these different creatures, you'll be able to add their cards into a booklet along with some additional information about them. But the way that players will be playing throughout the campaign is through the campaign booklet along with a main map. There's going to be various locations that you can visit, which is going to bring you into the location book, which is going to have a whole bunch of numbered locations that players can investigate and engage in different challenges or decisions that that specific location has to offer. A lot of these challenges will present the players with a few different outcomes that are normally gradually increasing in value until you hit a certain threshold, and then you're going to be getting something that's substantially worse. And the way this works is that each of those outcomes are going to be associated with a particular value. Players are going to be using a blackjack style push your luck mechanism as they draw cards one by one from the item deck, which you can see on the right here. And then you're going to be adding up any of the values located in the top right of that card, with the sum of those values indicating the outcome you'll get if you decide to stop drawing cards at that point. The push your luck comes into play here because these cards can come in a range of values, and if you go over a certain threshold, you're going to be getting diminishing returns. There's also some cards that have certain icons on them that can cause positive or negative effects depending on the challenge that you're trying to complete, and players will have to consider that as well. But each of these locations is also going to come with a timer located at the top of the page. And depending on how well you perform each of these challenges, this can move you any amount down that track, limiting the amount of time that you have to explore and interact with the various locations on this page. Once that does deplete all the way down to 0, there's also going to be an event that's going to be triggered, which can kick off more of the narrative developments, which can also be influenced by what you accomplished at that town and the different decisions that you made. The combat in this game also looks like a ton of fun, and there's a whole arena booklet that's going to allow you to play in all sorts of different types of arenas, because not only is there a deck building element to this, but there's also a spatial element as well, as you're going to be moving around on a board when you go up against other creatures that you'll have to try and defeat or potentially try to capture. But you will be using the cards from your deck in order to do different things like move around on this board, attack your opponent, gain special tokens, or perform various special effects. But what's really interesting here is that anytime you draw from the deck, you're going to be putting those cards face up underneath the slots on your side of the combat board, with each of those slots being associated with a certain amount of elemental tokens. These elemental tokens are going to be increasing by 1 for each slot you move over to the right, and anytime that you use one of those cards, you're going to be gaining the associated amount of tokens, and then any of the other cards are going to be shifting over to the right, making them offer you more tokens in the future. These tokens are really nice to earn because you can spend them to perform additional bonus actions on your turn, and the actions that are available to you are going to vary depending on your creature's elemental type. I really like this system because it's always going to be incentivizing you to play the rightmost card in order to get the most amount of elemental tokens, but of course that may not always be the card that you want to play, so this is going to create some good decisions as you weigh the pros and cons, debating if you want to get more of those tokens or if you want to play a specific card. And combat continues like this, alternating between the player's turn and the enemy's turn, where you're just going to be resolving one of the enemy's action cards. But the nice thing about this is that you always get to see one action card in advance, so you do have an opportunity to prepare for the enemy's attack. Any damage or status effects will be persisted on your creature after the battle is completed, so you will have to either use items or go to visit different hospitals in order to get that creature healed. And this is also something that I am a big fan of from a design standpoint, because if the creatures that you normally want to use are currently damaged, that's going to mean that you're going to want to use other creatures in your arsenal if you end up in an unexpected battle. Of course, combat is a central element in this game, and engaging in those different battles are going to open up all sorts of different opportunities for you to either add new creatures to your team, gain new attacks and special abilities that you'll be able to assign to the various creatures that you've already captured, or also gain special items that aren't limited to use just in battle, because you can also gain items that help you outside of battle with the various skill tests, or to help you heal your team, or help prepare you for a future battle. I do want to mention that I did have one concern with this game, with it being an Awakened Realms game, because a few of their previous releases did fall victim of being overly fiddly or complex, and with the nature of this game, I could see it being quite a hit with my nephews that are fans of Pokemon, so I might want to play it with them. And I know that won't be possible if this is a game that asks way too much of its players, mostly because I probably won't want to play through the campaign either if that's the case. So I did go ahead and check out the designer that designed this game, and he did design a few other Awakened Realms games, but I'm happy to say that he did design the games that I would consider the more impressive and well-designed games, like the Great Wall, which I didn't have any issues with. I have high hopes that he'll do a good job on this one as well, because I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far, and there's nothing standing out to me as a red flag just yet, but I will be watching this campaign as it develops and checking it out even more as more information is released, and I recommend you do that as well. And if you are interested in this one, make sure to go ahead and follow it, because it'll be adding another creature to the campaign, and of course, if you do want to check it out, I have it linked down below.